Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, THCF, or the Hemp Cannabis Foundation, and our affiliated political committee, CRRH, or the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Mr. Tim Pate is here. Hey, Tim.
Hello, everyone.
You are watching. We'll be taking your phone calls, talking about events related to ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients. But stay tuned as we first buy a few crucial moments by bringing out our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. And here is Mr. Tim Pate. Tim, I understand you have been going daily and playing music for Jack Herer.
I have.
The Emperor of Hemp.
I've been up to the hospital 13 or 14 times, and I
was
had the
honored to go up
opportunity
there
to
once.
take my guitar and play for him, and a number of times. And I was up there just before I came here to the studio this evening. So I'm happy to report that Jack the Bear is still with us, and which is good news to the whole world. I know there's been constant rumors over the last few weeks of his imminent demise or his not demise, but he is still with us. In fact, he's watching the show right now in his hospital room because I had him turn it on for him, and they said they'd be watching. So hello, everyone out there. Jeannie, turn it up a little bit because I'm going to play a song for Jack here in just a minute. In fact, one that I've been playing for him on a daily basis down there. One of the things that I've been doing, and the reason I'm playing music for him, is Jack has had some health issues since his heart attack, and so we're helping him gain some of that cognitive memory back, and it helps. Music is one of those very base tools that is helpful in this circumstance, and so I'm glad to be a part of that, and I would like to pass on to the whole world. This is as close to a quote as I can get from Jeannie. Thank God you're still praying because it's working, and please continue. Those are her words exactly. Just as I left the hospital, I asked her if she had anything to say, and that's it. She's very grateful for your prayers, as we all are, and I want you to know that Jack was moved out of medical surgical ICU this week, and was taken off the respirator. He's breathing on his own, and he is awake. He has woken up, but he still has a long, long way to go. And so I wouldn't consider him any longer in critical condition. He's been stabilized, and that's good news. It truly is good news. So anyway.
Well, it was clear to me that he could focus, like when you were singing. He clearly shifted his focus from your face to your hands, and when I talked to him, he looked me right in the eye. I know Jack's in there. It's just going to be a real struggle for him. I got an email from Dr. Ethan Rousseau of formerly of the University of Montana, and he is a researcher for cannabis and an MD, and he works with neuroscience, and he was saying that in cases like these, you can continue to see gradual improvement for a little over a year, or up to a year and a half, and sometimes even longer.
Well,
so he really beat the odds coming back as far as he has.
He is an odds breaker so far, in my opinion, and so Jack the Bear is still Jack the Bear, and he is still with us. And
he's always been a fighter.
It's good news.
We know that.
He is. Oh, we know that.
A fighter for freedom.
That's part of it.
For life.
That's it. I agree. Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to have a chance to spend some time with him in his hospital room right now. It's been good for me as well. So, but I want to pass on, keep praying. Please keep praying. He does still need your prayers. Peace like a river attends my way, with sorrows like sea billows roll. We still need to know this peace again. I need to know that all is well. What is well with my soul? It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. Lord, there's a day when trouble comes, clouds be rolled back as a scroll. We still need to know this peace at hand. I need to know that all is well. But it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Good night, Jack.
All right. Well, if you're out there and you're watching tonight, the second day of October 2009, you can call us at our number, which is 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour, and I understand we have a phone call. Hello, caller. You are on the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, I just wanted to say that's really good news about Jack, and that was a really nice song, Tim.
Yeah.
And I had a quick question about if you make a cannabis oil, right, and you infuse the oil, and you apply it topically for a sore back or sore hand, would that cause you to test positive on a urine test or something like that?
Yeah.
It
It
would?
could. It would.
Okay.
I mean, we all have a certain amount of cannabinoids in our nervous system, in our brain, in our spine, and it's a neuromodulator. It appears that it modulates a lot of different parts of the endocrine system and body chemicals. But because of that, everybody has a background of about 15 to 30 nanograms of THC that's just naturally generated in the body. Endogenous THC created in your nervous system was named anandamide by this fellow Raphael McCoolum, who discovered it in Jerusalem at Hebrew University. He also discovered THC, so he discovered the whole system of receptors for cannabis in his 35-year career.
That's really interesting. And what about if, like, I understand that if you make like a tea with like the leaves and the stem and the stalk and whatnot, that contains a large portion of CBD. Would that also, like, is there anything that would primarily be CBD, and would that come up positive on, say, a urine test?
Yeah, anything with organic cannabis is going to come up positive on a urine test if you're using that. It's hemp seed and hemp oil would not come up positive on a urine test, so you could use that.
Which kind of test are we talking about here?
Well, I take it you're talking about a standard urine drug test for
just
like
standard,
the 5 major drugs of abuse that they often do for pre-employment and employment screening. And one thing about those tests is that they can give a false positive. They can, in about, I think, 5 to 10% of the cases, give a false positive. So you can always make that argument. And
that's 1 out of 10, 1
yeah.
out of 20 right in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are high odds.
I mean, there's a natural number of, false positives. But anyway, if you're using medicinal cannabis, you're probably going to test positive on just about any drug test, unfortunately. I don't think they should screen for cannabis. I don't think it should be in the drugs of abuse.
I don't think they should. I don't think that should be judged on the quality of the person's work.
I agree.
Yeah, it should be based on impairment, not on whether you used marijuana last month or last night or last week.
Right.
And so I often joke that the only urine test I want to give is these government and employment screeners is a taste test, so, open wide. But
you got that right.
Get a little crude there.
I
Sorry.
was going to say something, but, come on.
Anyway.
Well, it's obtrusive.
Thing, and you guys are really inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
Myself and I'm sure a lot more other people.
It's very kind of you to say. Thank you.
We keep trying. Just sit out here and speak truth to power about the benefits of hemp. One thing that our Jack Harris said there on the stage in his closing moments was, hemp's better than just anything else on this planet for you.
It is. It's a beautiful substitute for so many
It should be
other
illegal
things.
not to smoke it every day, I think is one of the things he said. So
I agree.
He's definitely been a proponent. I don't know about making it illegal not to use it, but I think at least it shouldn't be illegal to use it. That's
some people get sick on it.
Surely, just for a plant.
Yeah.
So true. And you're going to have to take Jack's place if he can't speak soon, like all the rest of us. We all have a voice, and we need to take up the baton and run. This is a worldwide thing. We all must speak.
Well, and I was reading online and a couple other things, but large stances, we're winning this fight.
Yes, we are.
Well, as long as they keep putting our brothers and sisters in jail,
we're not.
I can't really call that winning. I mean, just this week, Mark Emery, the purveyor of Cannabis Culture magazine, who's been a guest on this show in the past, we went up there and interviewed him in the past for several episodes, and we had been on his network as well. He has an internet network, Pot TV, and our show's been one of the shows since the inception and continues to be one of the shows on his Pot TV collection there of internet things associated with his Cannabis Culture magazine. Anyway, he was put in, the Canadian government took him into custody and is going to extradite him. The United States, where our government wants to force him to spend 5 to 8 years in prison for selling seeds to Americans, selling marijuana seeds. I think he should be given a Medal of Freedom myself, but our government, wants to lock him up. So
at least the Johnny Appleseed, seal of approval.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, regardless of what you can say about him, a lot of people were able to start their gardens that wouldn't have probably without his work. Exactly. He spearheaded it. And now there are thousands of cannabis seed purveyors all across Canada, and they openly tout their wares in all little communities. I was up in upstate, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, went across to Sault Ste. Marie, and they had seeds and buds for sale.
That's the danger when you get organized.
I know.
You know, suddenly
they've
you're up
made
front,
progress.
You know, you get shot at from both sides, and
So our DEA has now brought him back to, you know, face the music here, and that's an evil thing in my book. Those guys need to be out of business, and that's what we're talking about here with Cannabis Common Sense.
Well, they need to be out of that business.
Prohibition. Yeah, they can go after the meth people. They can go after the heroin people. I think that those things should be you know, not criminalized. They're medical problems. I think criminalizing them kind of drives them underground. But, you know, that's my own opinion. I don't want to tie that to cannabis.
Exactly. That's just it. That's where I come from.
Yeah, I think that that's a separate issue.
I mean, I was in a clinical environment for many years, directing crisis centers and spending time in crisis centers, and realized that, yeah, there's a fallacy about, for me, I'm not really interested in seeing all drugs become legal. That doesn't interest me in the least. But I do know for a fact, I've never seen a hemp OD, a cannabis OD on anything, and I was at the point of the spear, I'd have to say, all those years, and that just doesn't occur. So many other things do occur, and they can all be very traumatic and ugly, but that one doesn't.
I want to thank the caller. I think maybe he's still there.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thanks for calling. Any other points or questions?
Oh, no, just keep up the great work. And
okay, we will do. Thanks for watching.
Yep,
tell other people.
Yep.
You know, tell 10 friends. That's it.
Spread the word.
If we all get 10 people that previously wouldn't come out and admit that marijuana should be legalized,
I agree.
We'll have it legal tomorrow or sometime very, very soon. So that's what it takes if we all get 10.
Well, there's an effort
That's what
right
John
now.
Trudell said right here on our show last year.
That's
so,
right. He did.
You know, he said a lot of good things.
He did. Now, you've got an effort right now to go for Octa again, right?
Exactly. We've teamed up with the folks at Oregon Normal, and we're both pushing an Octa petition that would regulate the sale of cannabis to adults through cannabis-only stores. It would allow people to grow their own cannabis with no license and no arbitrary limits on the number of plants that a patient can grow, as long as it's for personal use. If you want to sell it, then you'd have to get a license and work with the system to regulate it. You know, and we basically implemented a system of controls that's mandated by international treaties. So there are these treaties that have the same weight as the Constitution in federal courts that mandate a state system. And so we decided, you know, a few years ago we were thinking about tying it to alcohol. But our polling showed that was a big mistake, and that there's a lot of corruption tied to the OLCC. And
or at least perceived corruption.
Yeah, exactly, at least perceived. And so that's something that came up in our polls. But
now, where are you at right now in that process?
So we're we had to turn in 1,000 signatures.
Of which I was the very first one.
You were, and we have turned those in, and we're waiting for word from the state. They said they'd tell us by today, but they have several more days to make us wait.
Okay. Now, how many signatures did you turn in?
We needed 1,000 signatures. We turned in about 1,350, 1,325 on two different initiatives that were a little bit different. One that Madeline Martinez and Melody Silverwolf had edited from the full version of Octa to kind of Octa Light, so to speak. And it was pushed through the legislature. It removed industrial hemp and a lengthy preamble. And so the industrial hemp portions were taken out because Floyd Przansky presented a bill which passed, and we didn't want to, you know, propose, you know, dissing his legislation. So they took the hemp provisions out of it.
By the way, I've invited Floyd on to the show. And he said, you know, if we can work it out.
Yeah, I've heard Earl Blumenauer will come on our show, too.
Excellent.
So that would be good.
I'd love to have them
federal
on.
Congressman who's a supporter of hemp legislation and ending adult marijuana prohibition. He's a co-sponsor of Barney Frank's bill to end federal prohibition of simple possession of marijuana and allow medical marijuana and allow industrial hemp. So he's a supporter of all the good things about cannabis.
Exactly.
So thank you, Representative Blumenauer.
Yeah, and Floyd Przansky.
Yeah,
definitely.
and Floyd Przansky. We got that industrial hemp bill through, and the governor signed it into law. Another exciting thing about the legislative session is that the legislature ordered the Board of Pharmacy to reschedule marijuana. So it has to be taken out of Schedule 1, which means you can't get it through a pharmacy, to another schedule.
Anything,
at least
2 or
3,
less.
4, or 5.
Right.
And so that's what the legislation
5
says.
would be nice.
Senate Bill 782. Yeah, well, you know, Marinol pills are Schedule 3, so
Right.
you'd think it'd be the same as Marinol pills are. So
Let's
anyway,
hope
we
so.
do have a caller who's been very patient and someone here in the studio. Let's take the studio person first.
We'll get, yeah.
Hey, LK.
Hey, Paul.
I'm going to
Hey,
talk to you that way.
Hey, I've been
that way.
taking a lot of pictures of the gardens, and they're getting beautiful.
Oh,
But
yeah.
because of the cold nights and the damp nights, we've been finding mold. So anybody that's growing
yeah.
outdoors, you want to be vigilant on checking for the mold right now.
Absolutely.
Right. Go out in the morning and
Shake
shake
'em
the
off.
dew off the plants. That's
Yes.
one good way to stop mold. And then there's other options, like I heard just a milk solution with cow's milk, or a solution with a little bit of baking soda.
Well, it's gonna
Both
change
of
the
those
pH.
will change the pH, and
Yes.
that'll wipe out the mold as well.
Exactly.
So but once you put those things on, then you got to rinse them off. And you want to do that in a warm, dry environment because it could cause mold.
That's it.
Anyway.
Vicious cycle. And this time, there's so many things out there that haven't already on them, and so there are a
And
lot
the
of
worst
plants that are
is
natural
the
to
mold.
it.
It's the thieves. You know, that's the scariest part of the
That's true.
whole problem. A lot of us have had our plants ripped off or attempted rip-offs, and we actually got someone arrested at our garden. But
Well, I'm
finally
sorry they
that
were stupid
happened.
enough to try that with armed guards there. That wasn't very smart.
That wasn't. It's a good security team anyway.
Right on.
But we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Yeah, don't forget about the caterpillars outside, too.
Yeah, you don't want
yeah.
those things burrowing through your buds.
Yeah, really. Hey, I've been a grower for the last 9 years,
Right on.
Uh-huh.
and I heard you, Paul, last week saying that you grew for 26 people.
Yeah.
I was growing for a lot of people, too, and here a while back the state said I could only grow for 4.
Well, right. You can only be a caregiver for 4. And
Right.
so what we do as well is we have, like, sometimes name patients their own caregiver and name different people. There isn't a limit on grower cards, coincidentally. So there's a limit. You can only be a caregiver for 4 other patients, but there isn't a limit on growers cards currently. And also, you can collectively put together a garden, and so we do that. We have a number of people. We just grow 24 outdoors. The police came and counted ours just about, when the thief was there, and so who got arrested. So at the same time, they checked our permits and counted the plants
did they
and
take any
said they
evidence
were
to sample?
the most beautiful plants they ever saw in their life. So
Did they
Hey,
take
that's
at least
what
one
they told me,
police
too.
officer in the Portland Police said our plants are the most beautiful plants he's ever seen.
Okay,
take-
so if
They didn't take any plants.
Nothing to
Right.
sample? They didn't sample anything?
No, they didn't. They didn't take any to sample. They were very polite. And, we were very polite, and it was.
Well, yeah.
So what if
Yeah,
what
as it
if
should be. As
what
it
if
should be.
people were to use my address as a grow site? Is that cool?
Yeah, well, you can have collective gardens.
Okay.
Sure, and it's
Okay.
easier to do. The law says you can grow a total of 24 plants per patient, 6 of them budding. I bud under 2 plants per patient, but I grow my plants rather large, and so I have less than 2 plants, more like 1.5 plants per patient. But not everybody can do that. I have some people say I'm lying to say I can get over 1 pound per plant.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so these are Oregon rules. In Washington, you can have 18 plants and 24 ounces now as well. And so different states have different limits. 2 ounces in Colorado, 3 ounces in Hawaii,
What's
2.5 ounces in Michigan,
Okay, all right.
1 ounce in
What about New Mexico?
Montana, 1 ounce in New Mexico,
What about Las Vegas? Nevada?
1 ounce in Vegas.
Okay, that's good. You're good.
Yeah.
And California?
It depends on the county.
There you go.
Anywhere
That's
from
the confusion.
a wide limit there.
It goes from 0 to 60. In other
well,
words,
yeah,
if you're down
in less than 5.4
boy,
seconds.
doesn't it ever?
Anyway.
Especially in San Diego County.
All right. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
bet.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your call. I have a little bit of show and tell
You do.
tonight. I think I'm going to talk about these things, a variety of hemp products. We'll start down over on this end. This is Seaberry's company. It's a corn plaster made from cannabis, and you would put this corn plaster on your corn and leave it there for a day, and then it would just scratch right off. Your corn would come off of you. So it was, Seabury and Johnson also had big poultices of this, and I have shown those on this program in the past, but it's a pretty nifty little item. It's got printing inside the box as well. So, and on the back, you know, you got your foot.
How old is
there
that?
It is. This is about 120 years old. So it's pretty darn well preserved.
Yes, it
Johnson
is.
and Johnson took first then it was Seabury's, then it was Seabury and Johnson, and then it became Johnson and Johnson, and that was about 105 years ago that it became Johnson and Johnson. This is from Direct Sales Company of Buffalo, New York. I don't know if you can read that, but the Direct Sales Company of Buffalo, New York. I hope Jack's watching, because Jack Hare, I know, is from Buffalo, New York. We were talking about that just at the Hemp Stock Festival, and it says right down here at the bottom, Buffalo, New York. And so this is a little pint of cannabis tincture, and so it says it's good for all sorts of things. I can't read it right now. Now, next to it, we're going to go to hemp. This is 55% hemp, 45% cotton shirt. It's made in Hawaii, Island Hempwear. I highly recommend them for all your clothing needs. And so there they are. Of course, there's no commercial products sold on our show. I want to say I'm just showing this for, you know, informational purposes. Been paid nothing to put it. Isn't that an interesting bottle?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's
How old
circa
would you say this is?
1925 or so with that.
Yeah.
It's not as old as the 10. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, I was wondering if you guys had any suggestions on mite problems.
Oh, the dreaded and horrible spider mites.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
One thing is just completely kill your garden and clean with bleach and repaint, and that's a hard one. Another thing
Like I said,
is just to clean
dynamite.
your plants with soap and neem oil. You don't want to use neem oil during the last 3 or 4 weeks of
Exactly.
the flower cycle. And we have someone who is here in the studio audience. Let's see if we can have him give his interpretation on mite control. Go right ahead, Wolfie.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we've had a whole lot of growers for quite some time using pesticides improperly. If you're going to use any kind of pesticide, you need to use other pesticides in rotation. Ideally, if you're going to use a miticide, you will use ones that are OMRI certified. The current best OMRI certified miticide is something called SucraShield.
What does OMRI stand for?
That stands for Organic Materials Research Institute. When it's OMRI certified, it means it is part of the biodynamic process. It's a part of the
It's going to
living
break
process.
down and not leave toxic chemicals in your your system.
It's going to go away before it's time to medicate. What I've been finding lately, because I've been researching it in hopes of finding some really good answer, turns out GW Pharmaceuticals has a wonderful solution. It's called predator mites.
Yeah, predator mites work very well. There are various producers of those right here in this state.
Yeah.
The-
So do
support your local
ladybugs.
economy.
Ladybugs work very well as well.
Ladybugs are good.
Although not
I've heard
as
people
effective.
would take it and just dip the whole plant when it's young and drown the suckers for 15 minutes.
Well, they don't like moisture. That's
No,
one
they don't.
thing. So, but having high humidity is going to.
So you have lots
cause
of
mold.
options. Some of them are really important.
But the main thing is elbow grease. You've got to be proactive, and you've got to continue, and you've got to clean, clean, clean. That's the basic thing, is getting those dead leaves out of there, and a little bit of a diatomaceous earth, which is non-harmful, less toxic than table salt. It isn't good to breathe. You don't want to breathe diatomaceous earth, but it will kill lots of different insects, including spider mites, by scratching their exoskeleton, and then they evaporate kind
They
of.
also
they bleed to death.
They don't like it when it's cool, and so if your room is very hot and it stays hot all the time,
They're going to breed more quickly.
They will.
The more quickly they can evaporate plant fluid, the more quickly they will breed, and their life cycle will speed up as the temperature gets warmer and drier.
So we know a lot about these devils, but getting rid of them completely.
The worst thing about indoor growing is they fly through the air on these tiny little microscopic threads. That's why they call them spiders, these little silk threads. And then they go through places where their predators could never make it. And so while they're outdoors, there's a lot of predators outdoors. Yeah. But, you know, if you've got to be careful when you're coming in from the outside to clean your clothing. And
or if you're coming from a garden that has them in it.
Right.
And go into your garden, then you forget to change your shoes and clean off your stuff.
My problem was I had gotten a clone from actually one of the Oregon Normal meetings.
Right.
And I couldn't tell if there were any mice on there.
You always have to act proactively. I'm afraid they should have told you if they didn't to always treat all plants, even if it didn't have mites on it when you got it from them, while you're traveling, that could have come from another plant in the Oregon Normal thing. You know, they come in all together, and if there's mites on one of them, they can fly around and get on all of them pretty quick, and that's what they do.
So is there a better way maybe to tell before you take one home?
You just need to treat it as if it has mites. Whether it has mites or not, if you're taking home a clone, you should just hold it. If it didn't have mites on it when you got it, it might have got them on there as you brought it home from the environment, and that you have to just treat it as if it had mites and treat it with neem oil and a soapy water for a couple of days, and that's going to kill all the spider mites.
Now, can I just pick that up at any local store?
Yeah, neem oil is available in a lot of different brands. I like the one that's clarified and sold under the brand name Greenlight because I think it applies more easily. And then you can get it at Portland Nursery or any garden shop.
Okay, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're facing an issue.
I appreciate everything you do. So you guys keep going.
Thank you. We will. We're dedicated and we'll persevere. We have a video. We're going to show this, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks.
A trailblazer, a pioneer. He's the author of the book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Really, if you think about it, he's one of the founding fathers of the modern cannabis re-legalization movement. And I want you to put your hands together and show your love. You coming around this way? For the one and only Jack Harrer, everybody. Jack Harrer.
Some of these people know me from 1984. I came up here to Oregon and Washington. We did an initiative over and over and over and over and over again. We bought a store. We put on the store over and over and over again, and we put on the ballot, and we bought 1980, 98. Then we passed the initiative. We went out and got the fucking signatures, and we passed the initiative. Now I will tell you, we thought that with once a little bit of rain will fall, but it's okay because we got it for medicine. In a year before that, we bought it for medicine in California, in Dennis Perone and me went down there and got 750,000 signatures, and we passed it on the ballot for medicine, and we got it all over the fucking state except for red-lit areas like San Diego. 14 years after we passed the law, it's still going up. I'm going to tell you, there's nothing fucking better for the human race than having marijuana. even 2 years longer if you smoke it. If you eat the seed, out of 3 million seeds and foodstuff on earth, the number one thing in the whole world is hemp from 1 to 100 before you get to soybeans. 1 to 100. The first, second, third, 50th, 90th, 100 things of everything on earth. And the number one thing to 100 is hemp seed, and that's against the law. We didn't know it in public school, high school, or college. I didn't know that 98% of all the food and clothing on the whole world was hemp. And it's the best thing the world has ever had. I don't want to fucking live the United States government $1 fucking of taxes. I thought they could go to fucking jail for getting you and me and 20 million people getting arrested for pot. It's the safest thing you can do in the universe. And that is what we're going to do in California. Okay? Come over to my booth. Over there. And I will see you next time.
Let's give it up for Jack Herrera, everybody. He's one of the main reasons why we smoke good weed around here.
All right, come on
All
back.
right, give us a few minutes to get the sound bugs dialed out, and we're going to have...
All right, so that was Jack's speech about less than 5 minutes before he had a heart attack. We know you're watching out there, Jack. We're going to hold you to it. You got to come back next time. So I think I can officially announce that the hip stock stage from this point forward is the Jack Hare Memorial Stage.
Not memorial, no, there's no memorial about it. It's the Jack Hare stage.
Jack Hare stage.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And we'll be having our next
Forget
hip
that
stock
memorial
festival.
part. He's still with
well,
us.
it's yeah, that's true. So if he comes back, it'll be
the Jack Hare
something.
now.
We've got to come out with something there.
Anyway, if any of you would like to contribute to his help and relief, I know Jeannie is still in town. You are welcome to do that, and you can do that from anywhere in the country just by going to U.S. Bank and discussing the Jack Hare Fund. That's JACKHERER. And,
all right,
you'll
at
be able
any
to reach
U.S.
that.
bank.
Any U.S.
They're
bank.
everywhere.
They
there are
are
a lot of
That's
places
exactly
anyway.
it.
One's not next to you. If you're watching this out in internet world, you can mail one to one nearby. We have a phone call. Hello, caller. You are on the show.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to bring up the issue of decriminalization, and it struck me some time ago that private for-profit prisons have a vested interest in keeping the prison population high in order to keep those prisons making money for Wall Street.
It's just a shame that they have these things out there,
yes.
I think. You know, it's a travesty that it's come to this, that the United States has more of our population than any other country on this earth behind bars, and that's a travesty. You know, it's something that's happened since the 1980s. The beginning of the 1980s, we were in line with Europe in terms of incarceration rates. But since then, our incarceration rates have grown dramatically. I know just in cannabis arrests, it's gone from about 20,000 a year to 800,000 marijuana arrests a year. The majority of those for simple possession. But almost all of those people being thrown into the criminal justice system where they have to do drug testing, go through rehabilitation, if not thrown into prison or jail. It all depends on how much money they have and how much brown-nosing they do.
Yep.
And so that's basically what they require of us. And we're here ready to stand up and say enough's enough. We think that marijuana should be legal, and we've got a proposal to do that. You can look at OCTA2010.org or go through our portal at hemp.org to get into everything our organization's all about, which is ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, he hit that right on the head, though, because it is a system that is feeding on itself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have vested interest to see that they continue to grow and succeed.
As Jack taught us so well over the years, not because of drugs, and it was really about money and oil.
Oh,
and
yes,
energy.
yeah, exactly. That's right.
And that's what, and paper. And the petrochemical industry, and yeah, ultimately control. It's really about money, control, and the continued centralization of that economic.
That's why Napoleon wanted to reach across those steppes of Russia, you know, to knock all that hemp field out so that England couldn't have any more sailing vessels, you know. No more ships with no more sails. They can't win no more wars.
Jack Hare also taught me was that the War of 1812 was largely about that
That's
issue.
just
You know,
it.
Jack brought out that history and popularized it, and we're just glad you did that, Jack. We have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
How's it going, Paul?
We're doing well.
I got a question. I'm a little bit worried.
Uh-huh.
I might end up on probation or parole for some stupid shit. Do they respect, if you have a card, you've been a card holder for years?
Sometimes.
Do they respect that?
Not all the time.
What about for a DUI?
Sometimes. You know.
Come on, Paul. Can you?
Honestly, I can tell you that it can happen.
Yeah.
It depends on your level of respect to the court and to your parole officer. There's going to be some issues. You got issues you have to face
says
anyway.
in your, whatever drug treatment system you go through, most of them are anti-cannabis.
Right.
So most of them
Not
are going
all of
to
them.
stop you. But it has been allowed in some cases. I think the more of us who stand up for it, the more likely it is, and to say, cannabis doesn't impair us.
You need to. It's your medicine. Understand that it's your medicine. Fight for your medicine. Mm-hmm. Okay?
And we'd be happy to support you in that.
Yeah.
The best of our ability.
Hey, can Paul
Talking to your probation
or somebody
officer.
help me with this?
Say that again?
I hired a lawyer.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have the finishing amount, so he had to drop me, so I lost $2,000.
That's terrible.
Yeah, shit happens, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to know if I could have my rights, man, even under their I'll
it has happened.
And stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Even though that's giving up our Fifth Amendment right in the Constitution. We should all be pissed.
I agree. That's why we're fighting for freedom by standing up at this show and giving you a platform to talk to us, and we thank you for your call and your enthusiasm. We just got to stand up, and like I said, get 10 more friends involved. The more often that we reach out and build our movement, the more likely it is that we will prevail. And so that's what we're trying to do.
It is. For some time now.
And we're going to keep at it until it works. So persistence pays, and if we quit, there'll be somebody else. Just like we've got to continue the fight for freedom.
Now, where are you headed next?
Oh, I'm going to go to Montana in a couple of weeks. I'm still trying to catch up for being gone so much.
Oh, I know. You were.
Right now, I've been home for almost 3 weeks, and that's the longest I've been home since last December.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different things I got to. A lot of different things to take care of.
Yeah, see your children actually grow.
Yeah.
I know.
That's something to participate in. It's able to take them on a pretty phenomenal road trip. But anyway, we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yeah, hold on. My question is about industrial hemp, and how do we figure that is a victory right now when the governor signed it just for show? He said the Department of Agriculture licenses people, but they refuse to license anybody until the federal government changes the law.
It's the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, that they require for a federal license. And so I agree. I'm not too thrilled with the bill as it passed. It makes Oregon one of 5 states that have pushed for industrial hemp through the state bill.
If we don't ask them, how are they ever going to know this is what we want?
So
and if we don't ask our politicians to stand up and say, hey, this is what we want, how are we ever going to get that to happen? 20 years ago, we would have never gotten a single politician in our legislature here on a local basis to say, I believe in industrial hemp and willing to put a bill forth. That wouldn't have happened 20 years ago.
And Floyd Pozeski worked on it for about 15 years and finally got this bill through persistence. But I think that the hemp levels that are written into the law basically make hemp not as useful as it could be. And so our proposal that includes industrial hemp, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, would allow farmers to cultivate the hemp strains that produce the most fiber, protein, and oil. That would be the criteria, not their THC content. And so it would completely allow all strains of cannabis, seeds and starts, the starts and seeds of all strains of cannabis and hemp, seeds and starts would not be regulated as well under our proposal, just to encourage the free distribution of the seeds in the open market of the strains that people want. And
well, certainly has my vote.
It also would require the state to offer cannabis products to meet market demand. So the state couldn't put bogus stuff up there that nobody wants. You know, I know Elvie Masika, who's one of the 5 people still alive who's allowed to receive legal marijuana from the federal government, and her cannabis is not very good. It's like the old 60s stuff. It's a lot of stems and
it's year-old too.
Yeah, it's 10 and 15 years old, you know, and it becomes every year it deteriorates by 10%. So they're sending her cannabis right now that was grown more than 12 years ago. So under our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, that can't happen. The stores would have to sell cannabis to meet market demand. It would allow, you know, cannabis farmers to be like wineries, really. Yes. You know, if you wanted to open a winery, you'd be able to open a cannabis shop once our Cannabis Tax Act, as long as you got the appropriate license, like a winery has to, it'd be legal to do that as well.
No vinegar allowed.
Yeah.
Let's everybody make the voting station then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for your call. If you have a question out there for us tonight, we got about 10 minutes or so left. Call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448.
But I really do feel what he was saying. You know, I think that is a victory, even though we can't grow it yet. You know, illegally. You know, I understand.
Well, our state stood up.
It's one step at a time.
And we've stood up and said that marijuana has to be rescheduled. That's the big thing.
That's right.
The legislature has ordered the Board of Pharmacy to reschedule marijuana. And I talked to a representative at the Board of Pharmacy this week, and he said they are going to have hearings on this in March, and that by June of 2010, they will reschedule marijuana. And we'll see what schedule it'll be at. It has to be so that it will be sold in pharmacies. They said they weren't going to address the issue of manufacturing, but they were going to deregulate it. So we'll see what happens. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show. Hello, caller.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Welcome.
Hello.
I'd like to find out what your opinion is on the difference between LED lights. Well, I got somebody else first.
LED lights and what? I don't know. We're listening to you, bro.
Oh, okay. LED lights and the higher...
We have a little delay there. If you start cussing us out, we'll beep you out, you know.
Sometimes I won't cuss you out.
Okay.
No, I'm just wondering, I've heard that LED lights work good and they don't take any power hardly at all.
They take less.
They take less and they're more directional. I wouldn't use them during the flower cycle because I don't think they keep the intensity of the light to make good buds. But I would say they're certainly worth using in the vegetative state.
That's what I was going to say. I've heard of good results in the vegetative state.
Great. So the first, 4 months or so?
However long you vegetate them for over 18 hours a day or 18 or more hours a day.
How big
to keep
you want
them
it to grow.
growing without budding.
That's right.
The bigger they are when you flower them, though, the more they can produce in the flower cycle.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm new to this. I attended my first normal meeting last weekend.
Well, welcome.
Complimented the music from your partner there.
All right.
Thank you.
And I don't know if he remembers me. I was pretty tall, carrying a bag out the door.
Very good.
Well, welcome.
Anyway, I appreciate your info, and I'll see how it works.
Yep.
Sounds
Good
good.
luck.
I would
Thank
say, treat that plant like it has mites now. Go ahead and wash it down with soapy water and rinse it off and take good care of it. Dry her out just like a little baby, and it'll treat you right.
I think that's good advice.
Yeah, that's something you need to do. You have to prophylactically treat them for spider mites, even if you don't see them, because they're microscopic. You can't see them. They're hardly.
I know what I'm looking at now when I see them.
Now that I have to have bifocals, I hardly see them. But that's another story.
Yes.
If you're out there and you or a loved one have one of the conditions that qualifies for medical marijuana, then we have doctors all over the United States who can help you get a medical marijuana permit. The largest single category of patients that qualify for medical marijuana have chronic pain. I would say over 60% of patients who get medical cards have a chronic pain condition. Sometimes they have more than one condition. Another condition that qualifies is chronic nausea. So if you have GERD or IBS or a gastrointestinal ailment, that qualifies under the nausea provisions. There's also conditions that cause spasms like multiple sclerosis or Tourette's syndrome and asthma, and conditions that cause seizures like epilepsy. Of course, AIDS and cancer and glaucoma all qualify for medical marijuana. We have doctors that can help you across the United States. For a referral, call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And our helpful staff will be there to help you out. Thanks. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, is that me?
Hi there.
I grow outdoors, and I have the ability to bring them inside, to protect them and stuff. But my question is, how cold can it get before it starts causing damage to the plants? Because our weather's, going to start fluctuating here,
you don't want it to
and they're not quite ready.
Yeah, once it gets below about 31.
31?
It's like tomatoes.
It can stand a little bit of frost. It'll make it turn purple and whatnot. It can continue to grow after that.
I've heard of it.
But you don't want to go down below about 30.
I wouldn't either.
If it's 30, or if you have real heavy rains, prolonged rains, that's always a key factor in harvesting. If you see, check your long-term forecast. And I've been checking my long-term forecast, and I can tell you that there's a little bit of rain tomorrow, but then the long-term forecast for the next 10 days doesn't show any rain.
Yeah.
So we have
timing.
an extended Indian summer, which is just perfect for the outdoor marijuana farmer. So get your cameras ready. We should have a good season.
Yeah, send us some pictures and we'll put it on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea. Send us some photos.
Oh, yeah.
Clandestinely, of course. And we will be happy to put them out there anonymously if you wish.
Yeah, well.
Whatever you want, man.
That's it.
You have a nifty hemp shirt. Now, is that a cotton hemp shirt or is that a hemp shirt?
I think it's nylon or rayon or one of those things. Yeah, it's not
marijuana
hemp,
leaves
but it is.
Yeah.
I got it at a zapateria not too far from my house, and I've been asked 1,000 times, where did you get it and how much and do you have any more? And this was the last one on their shelf, so I was really glad to grab it, and it was really cheap too. So if you ever see any more, boy, it'd be good.
Well, if you're out there, we've got maybe 5 minutes left here. You can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. Where are you going to carve pumpkins tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm at the Pumpkin Patch out on Sophie Island, just to let everyone know.
Sophie Island's Pumpkin Patch.
Yeah.
That's a big deal out there right now.
We'll get a lot of folks. There are
Are
a
you
lot of
going
folks.
for any records this year? I know last year you went and established a record.
I smashed a Guinness World Record a few years ago, but no, I'm not. I am not going for any records this year. But we have plans for actually a national carving championship next year that I was talking to one of the farms. So there's things in the plans, but this year, just carving. I've got a school up in Seattle that I'll be carving for, and some parties.
You carve pumpkins. You carve
rock.
I
do. I do. I have fun.
What other things do you carve?
I've carved crystal. I've carved glass and all different kinds of wood all my life
too, right?
I do
glass art in addition to creating sonic art.
Just whatever I can do.
Just like very artistic guy.
It comes out of very poor. It's part of the problem.
I guess so. So anyway, it's a very artistic bent you bring to the movement. And I think it's miraculous what you've done with our friend Jack out there in terms of playing that music and kind of bringing him up out of his deep sleep there. That's
there's an army of people praying and helping for Jack. So all I can do is say I was there to add a couple of tones to the day. But there is a whole army of people there. And
that's
helping.
true. I'm getting lots of questions from people about him all the time, how he's doing. You know, they know that what happened, that hemp stock happened, and so you have people asking about it all the time. So even just tonight, I got a call from his partner Chuck, who wanted to know how he was doing, and really very concerned. And that's his road partner that he was traveling with when he came here. So we urge you to join in sending those prayers and good thoughts and feelings to Jack for his recovery and to our movement to end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp and help medical marijuana patients. We'll be back here next week for show 507. This is show 506. So watch again next week. We're going to go out with the tunes of Mr. Tim Pate and some of the scenes from THCF's Medicinal Gardens. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp. Thanks. Good night, Jack.